So the first thing I want to talk about is basically the audio architecture of an event. So let's say you're doing a dance recital. You're probably located somewhere in the back of the theater, maybe even up high above the sound room. The audio that's happening up there is not really great audio. So using audio off a camera mic is probably your last thing that you want to do, especially if you're like our company, where we generally have 2 camera operators on every job as a minimum. If we're doing something like a dance recital, we're talking to each other, coordinating our shots and discussing where our f-stops are at. Our voices get picked up on the camera mic audio, so I don't ever want to rely on that. However, you do want your camera audio mic on as what we like to call a scratch track, just something so that you can make it syncing a little bit easier. When we think about where audio is coming from, the audio starts in the sound room, and the audio engineer or the high school student or the volunteer from the dance school or whoever happens to be running the soundboard, what they're doing is playing a track. Now the track on its own is a dry feed, meaning that the sound coming out of it sounds just like you're listening to the CD. What the audience hears does have some effects applied to it. Because they're hearing the audio through the speakers in the house system. Not only do they hear what's being played out, but they hear the reverberations that are going on in the room. So if you listen to a CD or iTunes or whatever with your headphones on, that sounds very different, when you're in a big auditorium listening to that very same track. So as a videographer, you want to decide what kind of experience do you want to duplicate for the people that are watching your videos. Well, in the case of a dance recital, I want to faithfully reproduce what happened at the show and maybe even make it a little bit better. So someone sitting in the audience, in addition to hearing the music, they're going to hear the feet moving around on the stage, and that's going to be subtle, but they're going to, if it's a tap number, of course, they want to really hear the feet moving on the stage because that's a big part of the performance is the timing of the taps and the rhythm of the taps. So we've got to make sure we have a way to capture that. When you put out additional audio equipment, you have to be aware of where the audio is coming from the house. So where are the main speakers located? Typically these are going to be high left and high right, and they might also have a center fill. But depending on the theater, they might not be up high, they might be right on the stage. In addition to those speakers, there might be some fill speakers spread throughout the theater, but the ones that are even more important for you to be aware of is monitors on the stage. Now, a monitor is a speaker that faces back towards the talent. So in the case of a dance recital, it's for the dancers so that they can hear the music. Now, I've been in some theaters where they don't have any monitors, and I've been in other theaters where the monitors are really loud. The bottom line is you really aren't going to have much control over how the monitors sound. You just have to be aware of it, and you have to account for it. I like to put some additional mics right at the front of the stage. My number one choice for mics on a stage is the Crown 160. It's a PZM, or a pressure zone microphone. This is the side that would face towards the dancer, and we put our tape here so that the dancers can see that there's a microphone there, but usually this is so far away from where they are, it's not a problem. It's usually a good 10 feet away. This microphone is designed to pick up, if you see it look a little bit more flat here, it's designed to pick up sound from this side, and it's rejecting sound from this side. It'll still hear sound as it wraps around, and they just lay flat like that. I actually gaff tape it right down. Now the connection is a mini XLR. And so you do need a specialized cable, a mini XLR to regular XLR cable. And if you're buying this mic brand new, then it would come with one of those cables. If you're not buying it brand new, usually you can find them for anywhere between $15 and $30. Again, it's a mini XLR, so a small end XLR, which then goes to a regular size XLR, which is how you're going to record it. If I'm able to actually hardwire these in and bring them back to my station, I might do that. But in the case of a dance recital, that means I got to get there that much earlier. I have to run cable, often over doorways, and it involves a lot of taping, and I'd rather not have to deal with that. Now, the advantage of doing that is that you're able to monitor the audio. And so if there's a problem, you can at least address it at intermission or in between shows if you're doing multiple shows. So what I like to do is record it locally. And what I do for that is I use the Tascam. It's a DR40. And as you can see, there's 2 XLR inputs right here. Now, the beauty of this device is that it allows me to send phantom power to both of the PZMs, and I would use 2 of these, one a little bit left of center, one a little bit right of center. And when I say a little bit, probably a good 6 feet. Now, these Crown 160s are commonly found in theater, and they work really well to pick up the noise happening, the ambient noise happening on stage. A clap, a yell, the sound of feet walking, and they do a pretty good job of not being noisy. I've been really happy with the kind of sound that these produce. In fact, there are times where we are able to take the audio straight off of the 2 PZM mics going into the DR40. We're able to take that audio and it actually sounds like the best mix. Now that's a function of where are the monitors and how much of that sound is coming into these mics, where are the girls dancing, and how far away are they, what kind of floor are they dancing on, because for mini dance recitals, they'll bring in their own flooring, and that can change things around a little bit. So you definitely want to still compare. It starts with just getting what we call the house mix. Whatever they're sending to the main speakers, that's what you want to have coming to you, typically. Now, it can get a little bit more complicated than that because they might also be putting out some mics like this or other PZM style mics so that they can also pick up the taps, because the dance school maybe requested that they would amplify the sounds of the taps. So whether or not you also get that on your line feed from the house board, that's up to you. In my particular case, I don't want that unless I can separate those channels. So when I record the line feed, I have a multi-track recorder. I actually have 3 different styles that I use, and make sure you check out our video on multi-track recording for event productions so that you can see what our strategy is and how we capture that sound. We have a backup to our backup, and these are not expensive microphones. We actually own, I think I own 8 of them now, and there's always a couple in every pack. So if I have 2 teams going out, each team would have at least 3 of these with them. And they're called the Zoom H2. The H2 runs off 2 AA batteries. The DR40 runs off 3. But the DR40 also has to feed phantom power to those PZM mics. So this little mic is really nice because it has 2 XY capsules in the front, 2 XY capsules in the back. The front ones are at a 90-degree pattern, and the back ones are a little wider at 180. So if you're really close to the talent, you would want the back of the microphone facing them. In the case of a dance recital, I would put this right on the lip of the stage, and the side that's facing the audience, I black that out with some gaff tape. The side that's facing the dancers, that we've got the stage tape on it so they can see it. I would face this so that the 180-degree mics is facing the stage, picking up as much of that stage as possible. And you can make some choices. Do you want it to record in stereo, or do you want it to record in mono? That's completely up to you and how you're going to do your final production, and what's the easiest workflow versus the best quality. The H2 audio for us is nothing more than a backup. I don't even bring this into editing because the quality of the sound isn't as good as the PZMs, but it's there just in case something happens. I want to reproduce what's going to sound the best. And usually that's a combination of the line feed, which is coming straight off the soundboard. That's going to sound really dry. And it doesn't sound right when you're in an auditorium, because an auditorium is a very live environment. I mean, you hear a little bit of people movement, but you also hear sound as it travels through space and bounces off the walls. So to reproduce that, you want to add in a little bit of ambient sound Now the ambient sound is coming off of these PZMs, and it's specific to what's happening on the stage, because that's really the focus. But the backside, again, sound will wrap around. So we're actually able to use these PZMs for our applause. The applause is a big part of a show, so you don't want to leave it out. So it's really a combination of using these ambient mics and the dry feed, the dry line feed from the soundboard. However, it is possible to just use the PZM mics and have a pretty good, faithful reproduction of the sound. But again, that's going to depend on how close these mics are to the monitors, how loud are the monitors, and sometimes even just the speakers. So what kind of sound is coming through here, and what kind of sound is coming through the soundboard. So I always like to have a backup. So this would be a little backup. This is my backup of my backup. And of course I'm recording the line feed. And of course my camera audio mics are recording. And you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of extra work. They're already in my audio kit. They're easy for me to put out. And so to have that as a little extra safety, that's well worth it to me. And I've been doing dance recitals for 2 decades now. And in that time, there have been times where we've had to go to backup audio sources. The ultimate backup, and this is not ideal, it's very labor intensive, but the ultimate backup would be to ask the owner of the school to supply you with all of the discs that they used, all of the music that they use, which often can be on different discs, and then you have to actually edit each one in individually. And then you're starting with a super dry feed. It's not ideal, but if you had to do it. In all the years that I've been doing dance recitals and figure skating shows, we had one figure skating show that we actually had to do that with. Unfortunately, it was a fairly short show because it creates a lot of extra work. When I first hit record on this mic, I will say into the mic what it is I'm doing. So such and such dance school, 1 p.m. show, first half. And that way I can quickly, even in the field, I can quickly identify by listening with through headphones what each clip is. Maybe I need to clear a little space off of here because I didn't do it when I brought it in for editing. I could just give it a quick listen and go, oh, I can clear that one because we've already cleared that job. By the way, I leave all jobs on the H2 until they're cleared. Cleared means they're out the door, they've been delivered. I still have all the source audio files on our editing hard drives, but I keep it here as just a real, again, a backup of a backup. The same thing's true with the Tascam. I would say into here. Now, the only problem with that is it doesn't pick up very good on the PZMs because they're maybe 6 feet away. But I say it into here, and I just know that when I look at my Tascam files, all 4 of the microphones on the Tascam are in sync, by the way, because you hit record, it starts on all 4. So this microphone, the left one of these, the right one of these, that creates 4 files, and all of them are in sync. Now, depending on how you're recording it, it might only record two files, left and a right, and for each source, and that's fine. And those are all settings you can go through and figure out how you want to set that up that works best for you. If I want to create a sync point for these two, just snap my fingers. If I can snap sharply, snap my fingers a couple times, like that, and you'll see some good spikes. You could also clap your hands. Of course, this is exactly what a clapboard is used for, but in this case, we're just doing the audio element, but it allows me to sync something up in like a second. It's so quick. I like snapping multiple times too, because it's a little easier to spot in the waveform. So there you have it. Those are some additional ways that you can pick up audio in your venue, not only as backup sources, but also a way to augment that dry line feed you're getting from the board, or in some cases, as your primary audio. I want to thank you for watching. My name is Lance Lewis, and this is Lance on Location.